So this session is called From Page to Screen, and I am really absolutely delighted to have Nozizwe, Dillman, and Nicole with me. Now, I am not going to... It works, it's fine. Okay, for Dillman. I think right from the get-go, I am going to say to all three of you, can you tell our audience where we know where to find the page, but where do we find the screen?
Well, I'm not on the page. I've been trying to get from the page to screen for a long time now, but I'm on the screen. An African City, it's on YouTube. Only the first episode is up because we've been licensed, and so you'll find us on that streaming platform, hopefully early next year or sometime next year. But yeah, you can find An African City on YouTube as well as our monetized website, anafricancity.tv.
Where did you say you will find you? Which streaming?
Can I say?
Are you allowed to reveal?
I'll just say. So
have
Essence,
you signed the contract?
I'll just say whatever. Essence is starting a studio, so you'll find us on Essence Studios.
Fantastic! Congratulations, Dillman.
Yeah. A lot of. What was the question?
Where will you find? Where will you
My-
find your stuff? Like
Okay.
which streaming device, where,
Yeah.
etc.
Streaming not yet there because all the streamers they actually told me their focus is Nigeria, South Africa, and maybe Kenya. Now someone from Uganda, they're like,
So frustrating.
yeah. But I have some bad films on YouTube. A few of them. All my experiments, I just throw them there. Some people enjoy them. There's one that has 8 million views, so might have done well. But the good ones, if they send me an inbox, I can send them a link with a password and stuff like that. But also on Patreon, because I'm on Patreon, and I've been funding a lot of my experiments via Patreon. So the really good ones, I keep it behind the Patreon paywall, where you go to Deal Stories, patreon.com/dealstories, and you'll see some good stuff there.
Nozizwe, the girl who actually doesn't know how to count, and so doesn't know that happiness is actually a 9-letter word. Where can we find your stuff?
Okay, so my book is called Happiness is a 4-letter word. It was adapted into a film with the same title. It is streaming on DSTV Showmax, I think. I'm not sure if you get it here, but it is on Showmax, and I think you can rent it on Amazon. So if you don't have Showmax, you can rent it on Amazon. The sequel, which today I'm going to take credit for, although I really didn't have anything to do with it, is called Happiness Ever After, and that is on Netflix.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have a few on Showmax as well. Some series, but yeah, it's TV really.
So here's a question to both of you.
Can I just add, because Nicole and Dillman were talking about the focus for the streaming media or the streamers being South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria. I do understand that they are coming to Ghana and Tanzania. I'm not the spokesperson, but I've attended a few of their briefings where the next focus is Ghana and Tanzania, so you better have your work ready then.
Yeah, I can imagine that because I think Ghana has a marketish that they can look at, and Tanzania has a huge Swahili market.
Yeah.
So if they are going to go to Tanzania, they are not going to take anything English. They will be taking strictly Swahili. When I was trying to pitch to them in July, they actually told me they are not taking English titles anymore, or they are prioritizing if it's a South African thing, they take Zulu, Xhosa, which was a good thing. But for creators who've been educated in English and taught to think in English and taught to create things in English, it becomes again another frustration, because now all of a sudden they're telling you, oh no, we don't want the colonized language, we want the language we've been
Nicole, would that be a challenge for you if they suddenly was like, no, we'd like your film, but you need to make sure that it's available in languages from here or somewhere?
Mete kakra. Well, but again, I think what's so sad about this conversation is we're relying on a foreign streamer. And so I think us as creatives and as businessmen and women, we should be thinking about how to regain that power, how we should make it that when we want to see work, we can put it on one of the biggest streaming platforms in the world. It's really sad that this one streaming platform that we're talking about, but we're not even naming, has all this power to determine determine what gets made.
But I'm curious to hear from you. What are the opportunities? How would we, say for instance, decide, okay, we already have the books, we want to adapt them beyond perhaps stage, which is something that's easily doable with perhaps less finances than film. What are the opportunities available? Are there any opportunities available beyond going to, say, Netflix, and then Netflix telling us it's not African enough, or whatever?
I mean,
what that means.
Well, if that's a goal, what I do like about Essence Studios, it is Black owned, it is West African owned, if you really trace where the money is coming from, Liberia. So that's something I do like
Blood
about
diamonds.
them. No, hopefully not. But yeah, I mean, for me, I heard so many no's, and when I wanted to do, so an African city is, basically I was watching Sex and the City here in Accra, Ghana, and I wondered what would Sex and the City look like here. And I was working in international development, had no idea that one day I'd be in TV, but I talked to some TV executives that I knew, and they just were not interested. So years went by, and I was still talking about the potential of this idea. And finally, somebody said to me, "You're so passionate about this, why don't you just go do it?" Dismissed that, but a couple years later, I remembered that voice, and I went and I did it. I Googled how to write a screenplay, how to find actors, and then Issa Rae came out with Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl. She put it on YouTube. Aha moment. I could create the show. I don't need a TV station. I could just go on YouTube. And I've made all my money back. I've made all my money back for season 1. We then we did season 2 and put the content on a monetized website. We made our money back. We had brands putting money into our show for product placement. So I hope one day I can tell all the big streamers. And I also hope that one day there's just African investors who really put money into making it so that we don't have to rely on foreign platforms.
To answer your question, Zuki, yes, there is that option. There is the traditional option of filmmakers and producers raising money and taking their product to either the streamers or taking it to theaters, which was the traditional ways in which most of us grew up watching movies. So with Happiness, it came out in 2016, and at the time, there were no streaming service. We only had DSTV, and they didn't have the Showmax at the time. They didn't have the streamer. So the producers had to raise funds to adapt the book, and it was a lot of money, and it was debt. So and when you take loans to finance a work, and Tillman, I'm sure you know all about it, is there is no guarantee that you're going to sell enough, your work is going to sell. So what happens is, it's you, it's me. So maybe I should put it there. So what happens with a lot of filmmakers and producers is you get funding from the funders if you're fortunate. Oh, okay. So what happens is you filmmakers and producers, so if you're lucky, you do get funding if they buy into your concept. But then you take your film to like cinemas, and we all know we are in Africa. We all know there's like 2 cinemas in one town if you're lucky. So the audiences, so you never get good enough audiences to attend to see your film to then make enough money for that work to be profitable. So a lot of filmmakers, I think they're just at the stage where a lot of them are welcoming in a way, and you're right, we should be looking at alternatives, but the alternatives are expensive. But some of them are still going that route. Some of them are still daring to go out and look for funders, whether within their countries or international funders. But it is a very difficult and very expensive exercise. What I know with the streamers is if they're interested in your work, they pretty much take the risk to produce you, but they also own the rights, which is also a challenge for a lot of producers.
Tillman, filmmaking must be paying for you because you've almost abandoned writing, though. You seem to be more focused on it. Where are you getting your money?
From many places, but I don't think I've ever abandoned writing because I write for the film and I make films for the money. Yeah. The thing is, like, film just takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. So maybe you're thinking, but I don't know. Every year I'm publishing a book along with the films. I don't know. I've never abandoned writing. My new book came out this year. Last year there was a novella. 2021 there was a novella. 2019 there was another novella. There's always a short story every few months.
I seem to see like more visibility on your film. Maybe it's just because I'm a very visual person.
Yeah, I mean, films also, because they travel more than books, so when it's easy to talk about your films and people get more excited about it. But you post that, oh, my new book is out, and yeah, nobody really bothers to even, they give you a few likes and then that's it. But I think in terms of opportunities, I'm seeing a lot of books being turned into films. The only problem is most producers want books that have made a splash. And even the streamers, if they're looking for African books, because there's a time Netflix particularly was looking for African books to commission. And I think one of the ones that they mentioned, but I don't know where it has reached, is Baba Segi's Wives. Recently in South Africa, I saw somebody pitching Black Ass because they were doing it into a film. And there was another person pitching again a South African book. I forget.
Dog Eat Dog. I think it's Dog Eat Dog or After Tears. Nick Mhlongo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were quite a few of them that were being pitched. But the only challenge is...
Oh, and Men of the South, actually.
Yeah, yeah. The only challenge is they want books that have made a splash. Like, people have heard about it and it's moved a bit outside of literary cycles. And then a producer will think of it. Because most of these producers, they are not even literary people. They're just thinking of, or if I do Black Ass, then because it's made a thing already, then people are going to, yeah.
Nozi, you had, because you wrote Happiness is a Four-Letter Word, which won the Commonwealth Best First Book, and then won the DSTV, what was it called? Mnet Award, and subsequently it was adopted into a film. How rich are you?
For my sins, because my work came at the poor time, I'm not rich. Even the producers, although the movie itself broke office records in in South Africa, and in fact, it was one of the films that turned a profit for everyone. So but the producers were not rich after that, neither was I, but they didn't owe anyone. And I think what that did for the film industry in a country, it just brought so much confidence that it could be done. And most importantly, the producer is a black lady. The director is black. The script writers, including myself, were all black. So the whole team was predominantly black, and in the South African context, that is a big deal. And so to produce this work and have this work in cinemas, and for South Africans, just ordinary South Africans supporting it, was really a game changer in the film industry. But unfortunately, it was a time when the streamers were not there, so they were not putting a lot of money. You just get a percentage of the production budget. I think writers who are getting the deals now are coining it, and I am really, really happy for them. And I think if the deal comes your way, milk it. Speak to your agent. If you don't have an agent, find an IP lawyer to represent you, because our content is so important. It's so valuable. Everybody's looking for our content. Everybody's looking for our stories. So if somebody comes knocking at your door, really, really sit down, put that poker face that Aminata was talking about it, and just get the best deal out of it.
Nicole, are you, beyond obviously an African city, which we're all obviously very much looking forward to seeing, are you planning to do any adaptation of Page to film?
Yeah, well, about a year ago, I was approached to actually go from screen to page. So somebody approached me about An African City, the book, for young adults. So what would it look like, Nania at 14? And so it's definitely something I'm thinking about and pondering. But yeah, there's so many books. I'm Ghanaian, but I was raised in New York, and throughout my education in New York, I never was instructed to read a book by a Ghanaian woman or an African woman. And so now I'm passionate about reading books by Ghanaian women and by African women. And as I read the books, I'm always thinking about what it would be like as a TV show or a movie. Especially Aisha Harunata, any of her books, I always want to turn into a movie. Chike's book, Lives of Great Men, I want to see that as a TV show. And the list goes on. But I think what happens is I can't be the only person on my team passionate about it. My agent has to be passionate about it. My manager has to be passionate about it. But yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping one day.
Dillman, what can we expect to see next from you? And where?
Next, in terms of what?
In terms of film.
book?
In terms
Yeah.
of page to film.
Oh, page to film.
Anything?
Yeah, a lot. Because you see, I started out as a writer, and then somewhere along the road, I realized you can't make money from film. I mean, from writing. So I went into film. But these years, people keep after all these years, people keep asking me, and they read my story, and they're like, "This should be a film." And I'm like, that's too expensive, because most of my stuff is science fiction, and But since 2017,
I think your 2019 novella would be amazing as a.
yeah, try making people who fat fire on screen.
It'll be interesting, really.
Yeah, it will be interesting, and I've been exploring how to do that. But since 2017, I've been learning a lot of visual effects stuff, how to create visual effects. So I'm now at a very comfortable level with just doing basic visual effects. And I've been encouraged, films like Everything Everywhere All at Once, they use the software that I've been using, and there were only 5 people, so they didn't need a huge Hollywood team. So the one that might come soon is, I've written this short story, if you can find it on Brito paper, called Yatmadit, but it's about this decentralized democracy where there's where some woman invents a thing or a technology that can foster direct democracy. That has been obsessing. I've been obsessing with that because I know, like in Africa, historically we didn't have a lot of centralized governments. If you really think about it, we had very few kingships or centralized kingships. I don't know how many there were in Ghana, but I can only think of the Asante. But somehow we've been sold the idea that centralized leadership is the best. Anyway, that's the kind of thing that has been bothering me for years, and now I'm trying to make a film about it. And in this film, there is this young woman who makes this thing that is going to, it's like social media, and then she gets rid of parliament, she gets rid of the president, ministers, and all that, and then everybody is a parliamentarian, and there are like 7,000 people who are joint presidents in the country. So that's what I'm working on. Maybe I'll start producing it next year.
That sounds interesting and crazy at the same time, because as the South African here will tell you, some of their municipalities have tried to do unity, what you call it, where it's like different parties. And there's been a lot of chaos as a result. I am told, I don't know how the weather works, but I'm told that we might end up like being victims of Volta Dam flood. And so we need to wrap up in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So are there any questions for my panelists?
Some people are taking you very seriously.
I know, I love that.
Okay, okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am. Please come to the mic.
Joking, joking.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Malaika. I'm a student at Tema International School, and I'm very interested in becoming a screenwriter. So I just wanted to ask this question. What is your advice for young African writers trying to break into the film industry at home, as in Africa, and abroad? Thank you.
Just to write and create, and don't chase the film industry. Let the film industry come for you. Like I said, I received, when I had the idea for what would Sex and the City look like in Ghana and Africa, I got all these no's. I did it myself. Suddenly, all the people that I had approached are now coming to me. All the networks that I sent a cold email to were now emailing me the very next day after the first episode. So just, if you have a story, just try your best to create it. Bug your friends, your family to help support you to do it. And if it's good enough, actually, it's going to be good enough, but the film industry will come knocking on your door. So just do something.
Do you guys agree, though, with Nicole? Or do you sometimes have to, like, just put yourself forward? Because I have encountered a lot of really good literature and what you call it, and I'm like, how come the world doesn't know this?
Yeah, I think so. I think because I'm also now going through a journey where I'm trying to branch out into script writing. So you and me are trying this journey. So what I've done, they tell you to just find as many scripts online, and fortunately the internet is just like a wealth of information. Find the scripts that you like, find how, read them, start to learn how it's structured, because structure is important. This industry is very structured. I was talking to Nicole that, as a novelist, you can start in the middle because you just had an epiphany or you just had a character. But here, you really, it's a very
structured. I gasped
structured.
when she told me that. I was like, no, I need my outline. I need my act one, act two,
it's
act
very
three.
technical. So read the scripts. If you can find a writing group, so in South Africa, there is a Writers Guild South Africa, and it's such a very sharing organization. They talk you through things, they share templates, they show all kind of things. So I'll say read the scripts online and find a writing group that you can be part of. I think that's the easiest way to get into it. And then write your own work. And
then don't just watch movies, but study them. So the first 20 minutes or 20 minutes is your act one. What did they incorporate in that? What was their setup like? What was their inciting incident? The last 20 minutes, what was that Act 3 like? So as you watch films, don't just watch them, but study them.
Dillman, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's a more extreme advice, but it's actually how I made it, because when I was starting out, there was nobody who could produce my films. And so I studied how to produce them, and then I became a producer myself. And now people come to me with scripts, and I'm like, I have so many that I can't, of my own, that I can't make. But yeah, I think the thing with Africa, like even the other writers, yeah, if you really put your head to it, you can become a producer, and then you turn your own stories into a film, and then they will do so well that because the film industry in Africa, it pays very little attention to writing. That's why there is very little really good stories. Like, it's one of the most underfunded departments, and most of the time people think about cameras, they think about the big actors, and they never think about the script. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All
All
right.
right.
Just add one more thing.
Yes.
And I met your dad, and he's so proud of you. My dad was very proud of me. My dad read all my draft scripts. My mom read all my draft scripts. When we filmed them, they all watched all my scripts during the editing process. So your family, I just know they'll be very supportive of you.
It's absolutely fantastic. My mom said, I learned to write in second grade. Why can't you aspire to something better?
Hi, good
Last
evening.
question.
My name is Martino Morton. I have two questions. One is to Dela, and the rest is general. So, to Dela, you were saying...
We're general, Nosy. We're general.
So,
Stillman and others.
You were saying when she said that the streamers are going to Ghana, Tanzania, you were saying that Tanzania is a large country, and because they are more into Swahili, the streamers are going to say that if you're writing in English, then it's a no. So I want to ask you that, then in this case, what does the power of dubbing and subtitle plays in filmmaking in terms of the comment you make? And the general question. So sometimes people want to adapt a script a novel to a screenplay, and people would want to watch a movie based on the maker of the movie, and those stories sells faster. So the question is, in this case, what is the product? Is it the content that is produced or the creators? Who becomes the product?
Okay. I answer the specific question. I think there is a thing streamers don't like. They don't like subtitles and dubbing. Or anyway, my little interaction with one of them, that's really what they tell us. Like, if it's going to be subtitled, if more than 70% of it is going to be subtitled, then they might not be taking it. But a country like Tanzania, it's a Swahili-speaking country, and it has a huge population that watches Swahili programs, yeah? So it will be easy for them to produce or to do things in Kiswahili. I think that's why they are not even going to Kenya, because Kenya is, James can tell me, it's very split. Some people speak English, some people speak Swahili, then there are those ones on Sheng. And so it's very hard to determine the market, like what are they going to sell. But if they are going to Tanzania, it should be that, because I think even if you look at DSTV, they created channels for Tanzania before they created channels for other East African countries. And they call it, is it Bongo Magic or Maisha Magic? I forget. Bongo Magic. Yeah, but it's all strictly Kiswahili programming. Subtitles work nicely in cinematic things, but for TV, it's a very complex thing. And dubbing also, dubbing costs actually a lot more, because you first have to shoot the film, and then you have to pay actors to dub it into other languages. And then it doesn't feel natural. And anyway, the money that they have been throwing to products within Africa, it's not enough to justify dubbing it into another language. Which is why they just go like, okay, just go for the main target language, and then if there's subtitles, it's a bonus, something like that.
Others.
Maybe if I can just add to that, I think it's a bit complex because even in South Africa we have 11 official languages, right? And what I've seen, when Happiness came out, there wasn't even an ounce of indigenous languages. There was no Vernac at all. Like if somebody had said something in Vernac, they would like re-record that. But I've seen now with films that have come after that, it's like you could have a film with like people speaking 9 different languages in it. And then there will be subtitles. So as soon as they switch from, I know South Africans are notorious for starting a sentence in English and then finishing it in their vernacular.
Yeah,
so that's
how you get dragged on Twitter.
So even in films, we do that. And now that's I see that more and more. So it's almost like it's allowed. So it's trying to find a blend, because you're not gonna, otherwise if you're just doing English, then you're gonna miss a whole population of film watchers. So there is a blend, and I'm not sure if that is completely off for Ghana, but I would think that they are looking at blended films where there's English. Maybe English might be a large part of the language, but then other characters do express themselves in their vernacular.
There's no rule. If you look at the most popular TV shows in Ghana, they're usually telenovelas. They're usually these soap operas that have come from Latin America, or soap operas that have come from India, that are dubbed, right? That have voiceovers, whether they're dubbed in Twi or Ga or what have you, or dubbed in English. But those are the most popular TV shows here. So there really are no rules. Do not create a movie in a local language just because you want to impress a foreign streamer. It's not going to work. It's not going to be authentic. It's not going to be true. It's not going to be real. So just your film should be in the language that's authentic to the story, and that's it, with no other motivation.
Thank you so much for that masterclass, Nicole Amatefio, Dilman Dila, Nozizwe Cynthia Jelle. You can be able to talk to them and find out a bit more, but I think now we shall await and march onward into poetry.
Thank you very much. Thank you.